For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council has been the governing body presiding over what it claims to be a peaceful galaxy. This long-standing peace is upheld through the Council's strict doctrine of isolation. Under this doctrine, each species is required to live within rigid boundaries, limiting their communication, travel, and cultural exchange with other civilizations. The Council enforces these restrictions under the guise of maintaining harmony, promoting the idea that by keeping species separate, it prevents potential conflicts that might arise from differences in culture, technology, and societal norms. However, this isn't merely a policy of caution. In truth, the Council's isolationist approach allows it to control every civilization, keeping each race in a carefully assigned place within the galactic order. The Council is comprised of elite species that view themselves as the galaxy's nobility. These long-established races, advanced, powerful, and closely allied with each other, have monopolized influence within the Council for generations. To them, the doctrine of isolation is more than a means of avoiding war. It's a system of preserving their dominance. They enjoy unparalleled access to resources and technology, often keeping the finest for themselves while distributing the bare minimum to the civilizations they govern. Through isolation, they ensure that no other species can challenge their authority or upset the delicate balance that keeps the lesser civilizations under control. In essence, while the galaxy appears peaceful, it is an unequal and tightly controlled peace, one that benefits the Council's elite at the expense of those they govern. Behind this mask of peace lies the Council's true intentions: to exploit and suppress the galaxy's weaker species, ensuring that they remain stagnant and subservient. With strict limits on technological progress and social growth, most species have been kept in a kind of cultural stasis, unable to advance beyond the levels the Council deems appropriate. Some of these species possess great potential, unique sciences, powerful technologies, or rich cultural heritage, but they are never allowed to fully develop. Instead, they live in a state of permanent inferiority, stripped of opportunities to advance or even communicate freely with one another. Over the centuries, a quiet resentment has built up among these oppressed races, who view the Council less as protectors and more as tyrants. Although the Council has prevented major wars, it has also suffocated innovation and progress, creating a slow-brewing undercurrent of dissatisfaction. Then, humanity arrived, a young and ambitious species. Humanity came onto the galactic scene unexpectedly, challenging the Council's authority almost immediately. Unlike other civilizations, humans were quick to expand, rapidly establishing colonies and developing advanced technology. Humanity's unorthodox approach and bold disregard for the Council's rules became apparent as they began to connect with other races, questioning, learning, and, most critically, ignoring the isolationist policies that the Council had strictly enforced for millennia. Humans were resourceful and adaptable, quick to see potential allies where others saw isolation. Their willingness to question the status quo resonated with many suppressed species, who had long yearned for change but lacked the means or courage to pursue it. As whispers spread of humanity's defiance, these alien races began to look to humanity not only as a new force in the galaxy, but as a potential catalyst for freedom. The Council's iron grip was slipping, and humanity's arrival was the first crack in its seemingly unbreakable rule. Humanity's arrival in the galaxy marked more than just the presence of a new species. It introduced a new way of thinking, one grounded in ideals of freedom, compassion, and progress. Unlike the Council's elite, humanity didn't view the galaxy's other species as inferior or subordinate. Humans approached each race with curiosity and respect, eager to learn and collaborate rather than dominate. They saw potential allies and friends among species the Council had kept isolated for centuries. In humanity's eyes, the so-called lesser races were valuable partners, each possessing unique strengths and insights that could benefit everyone. Driven by this perspective, humans quietly began reaching out to these races, forming bonds that the Council would never have approved. These initial contacts were often carried out in secret, away from the prying eyes of the Council's enforcers. Through clandestine meetings on uncharted planets and remote stations, humanity began to offer aid where they could. They shared medical supplies with planets suffering from controlled resource shortages, provided technological blueprints to those barred from development, and even helped some species develop defense strategies that could keep the Council's oppressive forces at bay. For the first time, these suppressed races saw a glimmer of hope. A potential ally who didn't just sympathize with their plight, but actively worked to empower them. Slowly, trust was built, and humanity earned a reputation among these races as a force for change. As these connections deepened, humanity began to establish formal alliances with several key species, each of which had unique grievances against the Council's rule. These alliances weren't simply transactional. They were partnerships grounded in mutual respect and shared aspirations for a more liberated galaxy. The first and most notable of these alliances was with the Zal-Ra, a highly intelligent species known for their expertise in environmental science. The Zal-Ra had once been masters of eco-engineering, capable of restoring dying ecosystems and creating sustainable planetary habitats. However, the Council had imposed restrictions on their technology, limiting their work to ensure the Council maintained control over resources. Humanity recognized the Zal-Ra's potential and provided them with the tools to revive their skills, opening the door to a revitalized alliance that would prove crucial in resisting the Council's stranglehold on the galaxy's environments. Next were the Lor-ADH, a species with a deep artistic and scientific heritage. The Council had suppressed their cultural expressions, fearing that their advanced philosophies and technologies could inspire other civilizations to question the status quo. Humanity, however, encouraged the Lor-ADH to share their knowledge and vision with others. Through this alliance, humans gained access to the Lor-ADH's rich scientific archives, while the Lor-ADH finally had a chance to influence the galaxy as they had always aspired. Together, they began to build a network that could bypass the Council's restrictive communication systems, creating a new flow of ideas and inspiration among suppressed races. Lastly, humanity forged a partnership with the Daki, a proud and powerful species known for their warrior culture. For centuries, the Council had limited their numbers and disarmed them, fearing the potential threat their natural strength and combat skills posed. Humanity saw the strategic value of the Daki and began training and equipping them, helping the Daki rediscover their martial traditions. With humanity's support, the Daki formed a formidable resistance force, now capable of defending themselves and others against Council oppression. As these alliances grew stronger, rumors of human interference began to spread, reaching the ears of the Council. Isolated incidents of Council patrols encountering advanced weaponry or sabotage on Council-controlled worlds hinted at a growing underground movement. Reports surfaced of human ships seen alongside alien vessels in restricted sectors, sparking a wave of concern among Council officials. Determined to preserve their power, the Council attempted to stifle these reports, using propaganda to dismiss them as baseless rumors and ramping up patrols in troubled areas. But the sightings continued, each encounter a reminder that humanity was defying the Council's control, inspiring others to do the same. Tensions mounted as humanity continued its quiet expansion, reaching new worlds and connecting with even more alien races. The Council's worst fears were beginning to materialize, a galaxy where species didn't simply obey but actively resisted the status quo. Each new alliance signaled another crack in the Council's centuries-old system of control, and for the first time, the Council saw humanity as a serious threat, one that could unravel their carefully constructed galactic order. The stage was set for an inevitable confrontation, as humanity's actions threatened to destabilize the Council's grip on the galaxy and inspire the suppressed to rise up, creating a new spark of rebellion that the Council could no longer ignore. The Galactic Council, now fully aware of humanity's growing influence and alliances, convened in a rare emergency session. In the Council's Grand Chamber, elite representatives of the galaxy's most powerful species gathered with a singular goal: to decide humanity's fate. For months, reports of human interference had circulated, pointing to secret collaborations between humans and suppressed races, growing acts of rebellion, and even hints of coordinated resistance. This unprecedented challenge to their control left the Council's ruling elite frustrated, fearful, and desperate. They saw in humanity not just an annoyance, but a contagion, an unpredictable and dangerous force spreading the ideals of freedom, resilience, and defiance. Humanity's influence threatened the very foundation of the Council's millennial-old order, and they concluded that only one option remained. Humanity must be purged to restore peace and protect the Council's authority. The decision was swift. The Council issued an official declaration of war on humanity, branding them as a galactic threat. In their statement, they accused humanity of sowing discord and promoting rebellion, claiming it was necessary to cleanse the galaxy of this disruptive element before it destabilized everything they had built. But behind these words lay the Council's true intent: to extinguish the spark of resistance that humanity had ignited before it spread to the entire galaxy. As war fleets mobilized, propaganda spread across Council-controlled space, painting humanity as reckless and dangerous, an infestation to be eradicated for the sake of peace and order. Humanity's response was immediate and resolute. As word of the Council's declaration spread, human leaders across colonies and fleets convened to prepare their defenses. Instead of fear, the declaration inspired fierce resolve. For the first time, many humans realized the true nature of the Council's control. The secrecy, the restrictions, and the oppression hidden behind the mask of peace. The Council's declaration served as proof of its authoritarian nature, fueling widespread anger and determination. Statements and propaganda flowed from human colonies, unveiling the Council's oppressive history and calling for unity against this galactic tyranny. Humanity stood undaunted, with leaders delivering powerful messages of resilience, solidarity, and defiance. Speeches broadcasted across human-controlled space emphasized the stakes. This wasn't just a war for survival, but a fight for freedom for all those under the Council's shadow. But humanity was not alone. As the Council's fleets began their campaign, unexpected reports disrupted their plans. Acts of sabotage, uprisings, and organized offenses across the galaxy struck Council forces from within. Humanity's allies, inspired by the humans' bravery, launched a coordinated resistance. The Zalra led targeted strikes on Council-controlled environmental control stations, breaking the Council's monopoly on planetary resources. The Daki warriors, now equipped and trained, executed ambushes against the Council's patrols, using their rediscovered strength to devastating effect. Meanwhile, the hfy deployed their advanced communication techniques to undermine the Council's network, sowing chaos in its ranks and leaving entire fleets cut off from their command centers. Humanity had sparked a galaxy-wide uprising. With allies strategically positioned across Council territory, they turned this rebellion into a coordinated assault on the Council's infrastructure. From orbital defenses to planetary ground assaults, each allied race brought its expertise and strength, creating a formidable force capable of countering the Council's might. No longer a solitary race, humanity now led a movement, an interstellar coalition dedicated to dismantling the Council's oppressive rule. It was clear that the Council's greatest nightmare had come true. Humanity was not just another species to control. It was a symbol of freedom that the galaxy's suppressed races were ready to rally behind. The stage was set for an all-out war, one that would challenge the Council's dominance and redefine the balance of power in the galaxy. As tensions escalated, the first shots of war rang out across the galaxy, igniting a fierce conflict that would redefine interstellar relations. Key battles unfolded in the depths of space, where humanity and their allies engaged the Council's fleets in intense dogfights. Human ingenuity became their greatest weapon. Their ships darted unpredictably through the fray, executing maneuvers that shocked the highly regimented Council forces. Ground skirmishes erupted on contested worlds, where human soldiers, equipped with advanced technology and inspired by the resolve of their allies, fought alongside the Zalra, hfy, and Daki. Sabotage missions targeted vital Council strongholds, crippling their supply lines and communication networks. Each victory was not merely a tactical win. It represented a fierce act of defiance against millennia of oppression. The audacity of these human-led operations stirred hope among the galaxy's oppressed and marked the beginning of a revolution. As the conflict raged, humanity's alliances began to turn the tide. Each victory dismantled the Council's infrastructure piece by piece, crippling its grip on power. The ZAL-RA, with their environmental mastery, orchestrated attacks that disrupted the Council's resource management systems. The LOR-ADH, using their artistic ingenuity, developed counterpropaganda campaigns that swayed public opinion across the galaxy. Meanwhile, the Daki, driven by their fierce warrior spirit, led relentless ground assaults, embodying the strength of their long-suppressed culture. Council officials, accustomed to maintaining control through intimidation, were now struggling to keep their empire from fracturing. Panic set in among the Council members as reports flooded in of planets declaring independence and species openly siding with humanity. The Council's grip was slipping, and the rebellion grew stronger with every passing day, shaking the foundations of their ancient rule. The climax of the conflict came with a bold, united assault on the Council's capital world, a shimmering jewel of power in the galaxy. Humanity and its allies, fueled by determination and the desire for liberation, launched an all-out offensive. Ships filled the skies, a tapestry of colors as diverse as the alliances they represented. The ZAL-RA used their environmental skills to manipulate the battlefield, creating hazardous conditions for Council forces. The Daki led ground troops with their fierce, tactical prowess, while the LOR-ADH coordinated communications, ensuring every strike was precise and impactful. As humanity pressed forward, the Council's desperate last attempts at defense crumbled under the weight of their suppression. The Council had underestimated the unity and resolve of their adversaries. In a climactic showdown, the Council's defenses faltered, and they faced the inevitable collapse of their regime. Humanity, once seen as an inferior species, emerged as liberators, rallying the galaxy's suppressed races under a banner of freedom. With the Council's surrender, the 3,000-year reign of oppression came to a dramatic close, marking a momentous turning point in the galaxy's history. In the aftermath, humanity and their allies established a new galactic alliance, a coalition built on principles of equality, freedom, and shared knowledge. This transformative event heralded the dawn of a new era of cooperation among the galaxy's diverse races. No longer shackled by the Council's authoritarian rule, species across the galaxy found common ground, sharing resources and expertise for mutual benefit. Humanity's legend grew as the catalyst for this change, their actions forever marking the galaxy's history as the spark that ignited a new, freer era. The galaxy, once divided by oppression and fear, now looked forward to a bright future, united in purpose and vision, forever transformed by the bravery of those who dared to defy tyranny.